A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
The modern Western world is beset by much complexity, and one of the challenges we all face is the temptation to overeat and not exercise enough due to the busyness of our modern lives. So there's a good news story that has emerged recently in Australia that in the last 5 years, Australians have lost a record amount of weight. And to tell us this good news story, we welcome Yasmin Bowman from the 121 Diet Plan. Yasmin, welcome.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you for having me.
Yasmin, talk us through these numbers. How much weight have Australians lost in the last 5 years?
Well, we've produced a report, the Weight of the Nation report, and it reveals new insights into weight loss habits of the nation of Australia and through our diet, the 121 diet, which is data that we've collected, as you say, over 5 years. So based on a sample size of 2,928 Australians, this Weight of the Nation report compiles data from our network of dietitians, nutritionists and consultants from January 2019 through to December 23. And we found that Australians have lost a total of 42,352 kilos in that 5-year period, which equals 14.5 kilos dropped on average per Australian, which is incredible, really.
How many kilos is that per Australian?
14.5 kilos dropped on average.
Wow. All I can think, Yasmin, is that's a lot of Big Macs that weren't eaten.
It sure is. A lot of beers that weren't drunk, a lot of burgers not consumed, a lot of people really just choosing to prioritise their health and well-being. And that's a difficult thing to do with so many competing interests that we have in our lives these days.
Well, yeah, like I said in the introduction, life is more complicated. I think work is harder. We're working longer hours. It's harder to extract ourselves from the workplace because we take smartphones home, which have our emails on it and our Teams messaging on it. And I think one of the byproducts of busyness is we just eat bad food, don't we? Because we're tired and we need a sugar hit, or we just haven't got time to make dinner.
100%. I think we live in a culture now, and I think COVID probably contributed to this, where we want to access things quickly, and we are time poor, and we are valuing more than ever time together with family and friends, and we're doing that through social activities, and that often revolves around eating. And also that means we don't have the time to prioritise often cooking and meal planning and grocery shopping. So it's really easy to pick up our smartphones, as you say, and order food in, or go out and eat out at a restaurant or a cafe or a takeaway shop.
Certainly is, Yasmin. Now, I'm just going to drill down these numbers here. So South Australia were the biggest losers in the nation. Well done to all of our listeners in South Australia, because they lost an average of 15 kilos per person. That is a lot of weight.
It really is. It's quite incredible, isn't it? Understanding why some of these demographics performed so differently. But despite being the smallest regional demographic, South Australians definitely surprised us, coming in at 15 kilos a person, which is really amazing, actually. We were impressed. And then Victorians and New South Welshmen were sitting neck and neck. So with Victorians average equating to 13.5 kilos drop per person, and New South Wales residents dropped 12.6 kilos per person, which is still incredible.
Yeah, all three. I'm wondering if the South Australian numbers are affected by migration, people leaving South Australia to move to Queensland. that's where the kilos went. The kilos crossed over the border, because in Queensland, the average person only dropped 7.74 kilos. So the Queenslanders are definitely living large, so to speak.
Yes, literally living large. I think too it does come down to the demographic within the population, and you do see often that, and this is generalising, but Queenslanders live a different lifestyle, and they live in the sun and around beaches, and the whilst obesity is an issue across the entire country, you do find that people tend to focus on health and well-being a lot more in Queensland and might not be dealing with the same weight issues.
Sure. And here's one that doesn't surprise me. The 50 to 75-year-old age range were the most successful cohort, losing a total of 24,000 kilos, but that is an average of 26 kilos per person. So well done to all the 50 to 75-year-olds, but that doesn't surprise me. What are your reflections on that, Yasmin?
I think what we do find is the older we get, the more individuals focus on their health and their weight. And I think you can carry excess kilos throughout your life with a lot of consequences, but often you can do that for a number of years without seeing the impacts of obesity-related medical conditions. And then when you tip into 50, I don't know what happens when you hit 50, but things start to break in our bodies. And that's when people stop and really go, oh my goodness, I need to do something about this if I want to be around for my grandchildren and I want to be active and not a burden on my children or my family. And so that's where people really start to get a sense of their mortality and go, well, let's fix the things we can fix. And often then diet comes into play and they want to correct or introduce healthy habits which will give them a better quality of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like you said, as you get older, you realise, oh, hello, if I'm overweight, I have more chance of diabetes, more chance of cardiovascular diseases. I've got less energy. My clothes are shrinking. My car's shrinking. My favourite chair's shrinking. something weird's happening here. I've got to do something about this. And yeah, you do. You see a lot of older people walking in the mornings, exercising, not eating as much, and it's good, isn't it? And so we move into a biblical perspective on this, Yasmin. What is your take on that? Like, what does the Bible say about looking after our bodies and our health?
Well, I think the Bible talks a lot about stewardship. And it talks about that our body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, and we want to make sure that as individuals we are looking after ourselves, and we are not just about the body or the flesh. We're about our minds and our spirit. And I think it's important when we nurture our bodies, we are actually also helping our mind and we're helping our spirit, because it's all interconnected. And I don't know about you, but I know if I'm out of order in the area of my eating's out of control or I've put on weight, then I know that I'm not holistically functioning at my best. And so I think stewardship is really what I would say in that space. It's we should look after the temple that we've been given, which is our body.
Yeah, well put. I think it was Zig Ziglar who said if you had a really winning racehorse, like a racehorse that could win $2 million in a race, you wouldn't walk it through the McDonald's drive-through and feed it a cheeseburger, would you? You'd feed it the best grains, the best hay. You'd feed it the best food you could get it, because you want it to win those races. And we are actually worth more than a $2 million racehorse, aren't we?
Oh, we really are. We are. And I think we often undervalue that because we prioritise other people and the health and well-being of those around us and those that we love. And we do forget about ourselves. And I think as a mum, I can say this. I've done this often throughout the years, not prioritise myself, but prioritise those around me or prioritise the things. And I think, your analogy of racehorses is great. At the One-to-One Diet here, we talk about if you have a really expensive car, what would you often put really good fuel in it, or you take it to a mechanic that's not going to do a hack job on it. And I think we do that with our things, but we don't always do that with our own self.
Absolutely, yeah. And, even Paul said in 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 8, bodily exercise profits a little, but godliness is profitable for all things. And I think some people read that as meaning, you just got to focus on godliness and spiritual things and almost neglect your body. But that's not my read of the scriptures. I think Paul literally meant it, that bodily exercise does profit us a little. It shouldn't come before our spiritual life, but it's definitely a part of our holistic health, as you said. And when Paul said, I fought wild beasts at Ephesus, I actually believe Paul was fit enough to go into the gladiator games. That's my impression of him anyway. I think he was a machine. And I can see him in there fighting lions and tigers with a shield and a spear and just going at it because he was fit. That's how I read it anyway.
I agree. I think, ministry work is physically demanding as well. For anyone that's been in ministry would probably attest to that. But I think we bring our best selves to the table when we feel good about ourselves. and people that we do life with get to see us at our best, and we feel good about ourselves. We feel we can add value to others. And I feel like if we have our own house in order, as in we have our own self and our own body in order, then we feel like we can do our best work out in the community or in our workplaces or even within our families.
Absolutely. And, Australians are winning the war against obesity. We are losing kilos. If you've just joined us, a recent study has found that the average Australian has lost weight in the last 5 years. As a nation, we've lost a combined 42,000 kilos nationally. And this study was compiled by the One-to-One Diet group, which is Yasmin is the general manager of. So Yasmin, tell us about the One-to-One Diet and how that can help our listeners today.
Well, the diet was developed by a doctor called Alan Howard back in the 60s, and he was one of the original pioneers of obesity research. And he also founded the International Journal of Obesity, and he spent 50 years at the University of Cambridge. Most of those years were spent researching and devising the optimum weight loss diet. So over the last 35 years, there's been countless studies. Dozens of studies have been published on the core components of the one-to-one diet. And the components are the one-to-one support that is offered, the products, and the plan. And those studies, they say it's one of the most researched diets in the world, which is incredible. And those studies consistently demonstrate that the plan offers consistent weight loss, reversal or reduction of obesity-related medical conditions, as well as demonstrating safety and efficacy. So what it does essentially is the program takes a two-pronged approach. Like, we all know what we're supposed to eat. We all know that, calorie in, calorie out. We all know that, we should probably stay away from that cheeseburger or those fish and chips. But we know often the vehicle, we know that the method, but so we provide the education around calorie, nutrient-dense foods. We provide the foods actually to take the guesswork out and to take the cooking out. We combine that with conventional food if people would still like to do that. But the other prong of the approach is providing personalised support. So we have a network of consultants and dietitians around the country who provide advice and guidance to anyone that wants to lose weight. And I really believe that that's the winning ingredient. It's having that support, that cheerleader in your camp that will believe in you and give you that support day in, day out, week in, week out, till you reach your goals.
Well, definitely, because that's also a biblical principle, isn't it? That Jesus sent them out 2 by 2, not 1 by 1. We need a partner, don't we? We need a helper. We need a friend. We need a buddy, a mate, whatever you want to term you want to use. But yeah, we need someone to help us get over the line, don't we, when we want to achieve any goal. And so the One-to-One Diet Plan is a way to lose weight. So if you're listening today and you are interested in losing weight, I would encourage you to reach out to these guys. It's called the One-to-One Diet. And the website is one as in O-N-E, the number 2, and then O-N-E again, diet.com.au. That's one-to-one-diet.com.au. Yasmin Bowman is the general manager of One-to-One Diet. Yasmin, I want to thank you, number 1, for this study and for releasing it, and number 2, for joining us on 2020 Today.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Andrew.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.